homework's not due today, but I'd like you to take it out so we can discuss it. Because I know there's going to be a few questions on it. Because, I basically turned you loose on it yesterday since I wasn't here. But I'd like to at least talk about it. Let's see. I think the only person that may have this class. Okay. Anyone else think that they turned in yesterday? Because I know I had a couple of 71s that they turned in the other day. All right. Yesterday's stuff was on logic, correct? So you had to come up with the truth table on certain problems. There's only certain ones. Then on the other problems, all you had to do was tell me if it was a true or false statement. So basically what it came down to was it a conjunction or disjunction? That's the big thing. So that's the big one. Because that tells you if it's true or false. So let's discuss that real quick right now. Just before I go into the homework, because I'll put the picture up here and we can discuss whatever problem you'd like. So we're on section 2.2. We're doing the logic material. And what we discussed on Wednesday when I was here, we talked about conjunctions. Now, what do you remember about a conjunction? What was the symbol for it? What was the symbol for conjunction? Yeah, a little up arrow. How to remember that, and I know this is silly, to me it looks like an N if you round it off a little bit, and that's the word and. That's how I remember it. I know it's silly, but that's just how I do it. Then, the second type was a disjunction. Disjunctions have what symbol? That one, but the down arrow. And that, for me, it looks like the word or. Okay? So, alright. So those are the two types. Then we also talked about, one of the other main topics was we talked about negations. Negation is where they put the little tilde symbol out front, and that means, it literally means the word not. You put that in the sentence that you're actually reading. Okay, so those are the ideas. So the big thing was like with the conjunction, if they did something like this, right, where they put a little V in the middle, for this to be a true statement, since it's using the word and, for this to be a true statement, both have to be true. This has to be true, this has to be true. That is the only way that thing can work. If one of them is false, it's automatically false. That's how it works. For a disjunction, same sentence, only one of them has to be true, because this is the word or, so if one of these is true, it doesn't matter which one. Just as long as there's one true, it's automatically a true statement. So one can be false, the other can be true, and it still works. Do we see the differences? Now on the first, I think it was the first 6, all you have to do is tell me true or false. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Then it was like, I think it was like 8, 9. You had to, I think you had to come up with a truth table, like the actual grid that we did. Okay, so again, you get that from reading the instructions. They actually tell you that right from the page. So I'd like you to take it out, please. So take out your homework if you have it. And I'm gonna post a picture up here, and I'm gonna go through it. All right.
Haley Frost, please come to the office. Haley Frost.
Okay. Alright, so this is your problems, correct? Show the right page. Alright. So, what you have to do real quick is use the following conjunctions. So we have 1 through 6 here. You're using these. Alright, so use the following statements to write if it's conjunction or disjunction. Okay, so we have the word ands in certain ones. That's an or, and an and. And what you have to do is find its truth value, not truth table value. Is it true or false? What you have to do and explain. So it's so what you have to do is you have to pair sentences. So on problem number 1, it's P and R. So P and R. So that's this sentence. Let me highlight these. So we're doing problem number 1. Oh my! Just work. All right. So P and R. A week has 7 days. Is that true or false? True. All right. So P is definitely true. And R. There are 60 minutes in an hour. True or false? True. So on a conjunction, what has to work? Is it a true statement or false? And why? True, because they're both true. On a conjunction, the word and, they both had to be true, and they are. So that is a true statement. That's all you have to do. So you have to say this is a true statement because on a conjunction, both have to be true. Does that make sense? That's what you're doing for problem number 1. Same with the others. Now, on problems 1 through 6, is there a question on a specific one you'd like to go over? One that you didn't quite understand? It's true or false? Maybe explain one. Certain one you want to go over? 4? Yeah, let's go about 4. Alright, so 4, this one. P or Q, and it's actually not P, because they use the little negation symbol. So, we're using P and Q, P or Q, I should say. So P or Q, and this one is we're doing the negation of P, so a week does not have, so does not have 7 days. Alright. So that's the negation of P. So, true or false? A week does not have 7 days. So that's false, okay. That's false. Or, Q, there are 20 hours in a day. That's false. So is this a true or false statement? False. The reason why? On a disjunction, because you used the word over, right? Only one had to be true. Only one. You had both false. So it didn't matter. There was no truth in that statement. Okay. Any questions with that? Okay, that's all you have to do. 1 through 6. We didn't have 7, but we did have 8 and 9. And 8 and 9, you had to do your own truth table. Own truth table for 8 and 9. That's all you have to do. Okay? Now, on these, you don't have to use the previous sentences. You didn't have to. It didn't ask you to come up with the evaluation of truth, like, is it a true statement or not? So, the truth value. All you have to do is the truth table. So this is the one where if you have 2 letters, you make your little table like this, and you have 3 columns. You're going to have P in one column, Q in the other, and what's my third column going to be? Yeah, it's going to be that. P and Q. Okay, so how does it work? What do you guys remember from what we talked about Wednesday? What's the first values I put in here? Yeah, exactly. True, true, false, false. And you're probably wondering, well, why? Why are you doing that? You have to make every combination of the trues and falses that you possibly can. So I go true, true, false, false. And in the next one, I alternate. true, false, true, false. Now, the reason why is it's giving me literally every combination of T's and F's possible. True, 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 false, false, true, or false, false. Those are every combination of T's and F's that you can use for P and Q. Then in the last column, this is the one where you actually have to spend a little bit of mental effort. It's a conjunction. It uses the word and. So for this to be a true here in this column, when you go across going P's and Q's, they both have to be true, because that's how a conjunction works. They both have to work. Since it's the word and, these both have to be true. Okay, so TT, so what does this mean? That's a true statement. They're both true. That's conjunction. What about the next one? False. It's automatically false, because they're not both true. Okay, what about the next one? False. They're both not true. And the last one's obviously false, because they're both false anyway. So two falses don't make it true. All right. All right. Any questions with that? How you do that? That's the same with 9. 9, you'll have 2 extra columns. So you have the P's and Q's column, and then you'll have the not P column and not Q column. And how those work, it's just the opposite of these. So like the not P column, that will be right here. The not P column, as they put it. This column would be opposite of whatever P is. So that's true. Your column for the not P will be false, false, true, true. Then you do the column for the Q's, the not Q's, and that'll be the opposite of Q's. And then you can do the last one where it's like it's an order problem. And you just use not P and not Q columns to figure that out. Okay, questions, comments, concerns. Okay, let's scroll down. We did not hit 10. Oh, we did. So scroll down. Venn diagram, how many people only chose Spanish? Looks like 89. How many people chose Spanish and French? That's the middle number. And then describe the 3 people in the non-intersecting portion of the French reading. So that'd be the 3 of them. So total of 18, but 3 didn't only pick French. All right. Moving on, what do we got? 11 through 16. It's the same thing as before. Tell me if it's true or false. That's all it is. If it's an and, both have to be true. If it's an or, only one has to be true. So, yeah, and you're looking at the picture, using that picture to describe it for some of those. So that's how it's working. So, all right. Any questions down here on any specific one right now? I think you had through 13, so you had through here. You had through 13. And then the next ones were 18 and below, so we had some of those down there. So is there any from, like, in this mid area that you want to go over? You're not quite sure of? You want to see how to do it? Okay, same with those. All right, and then the last few, this is 23, 24, 26, 28 through 30. This is on the next page. So let me put a picture of that. We'll put that up here. So I'm going to put the next page. one here. All right. So on these we had 23, 24, 26, 28 through 30, and you had to finish out the truth table. So the first one should be pretty straightforward. The truth table is pretty much almost set up. So what would this row be? Yeah, true, false, true, false. All right. The not P column is the opposite of these, so that's how those work. So that's pretty straightforward. And now the last one, this is the word and we're using the not P column and the Q column. So that's these two. So we're using these two. Now it's an and, so both have to be true for that to be true in this row right here. So are they both true? No. Are they both true? No. Are they both true? Yes. And are they both true? No. That's how conjunction works. And then you can do the same for the next row over. These you can kind of figure out because you have your P, you have your Q column, you'll have your not P column, which is based on these. You have your not Q column, which are based on these. And then you can do your last one, which is using this row and that row. And that's how you get this one. Not quite sure where they give you a not Q column. You didn't even need that on 24. All right. Questions on 23? How that works? That's what you're doing down here. You're setting up your columns for these. You have no sentences to go off of, so you're not trying to find a truth value. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns? Okay, now, yesterday, so you can put your homework away for right now. I'm going to make that due, I'm going to make it due Tuesday next week. Tuesday. Give me a little bit extra time, because then we have a football game tonight. I don't want to make it due Monday. Some of you might have things going on. So I'll make it due Tuesday. I do want to talk about one problem that I introed. I introed it Wednesday, and I may have told you wrong. I don't remember what I told you. So I'm going to put it back up on the board here. So let me pick up a comment. I don't want to leave it if I actually told you wrong, and I don't remember what I told you. And it's a problem that we haven't seen, so. And it was one of these. It's the ones where they do these crazy difficult logic grids. Not grids, but tables where they want the truth value for it, determine like the type of truth value that could potentially happen here if you had, your P and Qs and stuff. Okay? All right. I'm going to ignore this. I'm going to ignore that. They're kind of just telling you certain ones are true and false and whatnot. But I want to just basically talk about like this type of problem, where they use like 3 different letters in a logic statement. And I want to show you how the table is actually set up. And I don't know if I discussed it Wednesday. I want to make sure that if I did, I told you right. Because I know like later classes, I don't think I even got to it. So, but I remember vaguely talking about it. So I'm going to set up the table over here. If there's 3 letters, like P, Q, and R, and they're all ands on that problem. So P and Q and R. All right. So here's how the table actually works. Okay, you're going to have a P column, you're going to have a Q column, you're going to have an R column. And then you're going to have 2 other columns over here, one of the columns is going to be the Q and R column, because that's this value right here, whatever this is. Okay, and then the last one will be P and whatever that parenthesis was, this one. So you'll have to use P values and this values to find the last one. And so I don't know if I discussed it, I definitely want to talk about it. So, okay, so here's how it works, and just make sure that you understand this. It will not just be 4 items going down. It's 4 items going down, like true, true, false, false, when there's only 2 letters. That's how those work. When there's 3 letters, you actually have 8 going down, because you have to make every combination of trues and falses for all 3 letters combined before you start. That's what makes this difficult. So let me walk you through all the different ones. Okay? So it could be a situation like this, like true, true, true. They could all 3 be true. Okay, that's one combination of all 3 letters. Does that make sense? They all could be T's. The other combination could be T, T, false. Make sense? That's one combination. Or it could be T, false, true. So true, false, true. So you just switch them. Or it could be true, false, false. Okay, does that make sense so far? How I'm like making the different combinations of what can happen here? Okay, any questions so far? That's most people are very comfortable seeing that. Now the problem is I've only used T's in this column. Only used T's so far. I basically have every combination of T's and F's over here for just 2. But these have all been trues. So now I'm going to use basically the same combination but use all falses now. So false, true, true, false, true, false, 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 true, false, false, false. It's every combination of T's and F's possible going straight across. So it looks like the same setup. You have trues, you have falses. It looks like trues, false, false, and then this one alternates every other. That's how it works when there's 3 letters. If there's 4, God, there's even more. Those would go even further. And now I can start making the rest of these columns where, like, the Q and R column, this is the and in between Q and R. I'm just using Q and R's. These both have to be trues for this to be true since it's an and. So true, true, that's a true. True, false, that's false. True, false, false. False, that's a true. That's a false. That's a false, and this is a false. So there's only 2 trues in that whole row right there. That whole column, I should say. And then the last one now, this last column here is based on this row, the P row, and this row, the Q and R column. That's what I'm using for this. So it's an and between the P and this bubble. So these both have to be true for this to be a true here. So true, true, that's a true. True, false, false. True, false, false. True, false, false. False, true, false. False, false. False, false. And false, false. All right, so it looks like there's only 1 from that whole row. Okay. Make sense how I did that? Okay. I just wanted to show you that. I don't know if I talked about it on Wednesday or if I went that far in depth or if I just hinted at it. I don't remember. So I want to at least let you show how you'd attempt if it was a difficult problem. I didn't assign any of those. I just thought it was something interesting enough where we could talk about it. Okay. So now, I'd like you to put your homework away. We have, because I don't want to waste a Friday here. I want to do kind of a challenge question today. I like to do challenge questions on Friday. It's kind of a fun little thing. So here's what I like you to do. I like you to get in groups of 4s. Okay. Now, how does 4s work? I like you 4 to go together. Okay. I like you 4 to go together. You 4 right here. Plus, you can go with the group of 3 back there. Okay. So it's right here in that group of 3 that back line. You 4 here. All right. All right. So now, here's what we're doing today. This is going to seem a little odd. You've never seen these before. You will need somebody to be the designated writer. So, now, hey, designated writer, what that means is that person that's designating writing has to have some form of notes in front of them, like a notebook, like a piece of paper. Then you need somebody that will log answers on a piece of paper. So, push your desk together. All right, here we go. Push your desk together. So somebody's got to be the log person, somebody's got to be the note taker. Log person and note person. Log person and note person. Log, note. All right. Yes, everyone. All right. What you're looking at in front of you, if you don't know, just explain it. Okay. This. Hey, called a logic grid. Okay? These can be bigger, they can be smaller. What you're looking at is something of your level. Okay? It is a middle like math-wise logic. It's not super difficult where it's like branching and I need like 4 pieces of paper to cover it. Okay? Your goal is to figure out pairings of people, bobsleds, which I'll explain here in a minute, and country of origin. So that's what I want. You have a little bit of, you have a grid, you have a little bit of space over here where you will eventually write your final answer. Like, oh, if the partners are Bobby and Jane, and they're from U.S. and they use a red bobsled, then you'll, like, that'll be one of your answers, and then the other answer. And you're probably wondering, I have no markings on this. How am I supposed to do this? This is blank. Because I have the select few clues I'm going to give you so that you can fill out this entire chart with 10 clues or less. Now this takes all inductive reasoning. Pure inductive. So, because I like to challenge you. Alright, these are definitely something you have never seen before, and I think it's totally fascinating. So, okay. Hey, by the way, if you'd like to do this, I will, like, if, let's say, we don't get it done today in class, I will post this PowerPoint to my website today. I will post the grid that you're looking at there to my website, so you can attempt this by yourself. To give you an idea, I did this in less than 5 minutes.
You are a math.
It is true. But I did this logic puzzle in less than 5 minutes. So it gives you a sense like it is possible just with how to think about it. Now, the grid that's in front of you, you have to put yeses and nos in there. So what I did when I did this, I did like little check marks, like check marks yes, or I scribbled it out, like blanked it out for a no. So that way it was easier visually for me to look at. Okay, so here we go. I'll explain how this works and I'll help you out for the first couple. Alright, but I'm going to give you all the clues here. Okay, so here's the basic story problems that we're actually working with here. Okay, so here's how the logic grid works, okay? So this is my little story behind it. I made a story. A few bobsledding accidents happened. Mixed pairs of bobsled competitions are in dire straits, pun intended. Not only can no one remember who their partner is, but every last one misplaced their passwords and has no foggiest idea of where their country is from. So you need to help match the bobsledders with their partners, find their country of origin, and what sled they are supposed to be in, so the Olympics can get back on schedule for bobcontests. All right, so that's your little setup for this little story, and I can make up other ones as well. All right, now clue number 1: Betsy and Phil are the green duo. So I'm going to help you fill out that grid right now for Betsy and Phil. They are partners with the green bobsled. Okay? Now, I have a little unrelated news, but Phil doesn't like Betsy. No worries. All right, so let me go back to the grid here, and I'm going to show you how I attempted to fill this out. Because I know, like, sometimes you just need to see somebody else actually fill out the grid in front of you so you get a sense of how this works. All right. So, Phil and Betsy are partners, right? So this is how I did it. So, Phil and Betsy. So here's Betsy, here's Phil. These two are partners. So the others cannot be. Betsy cannot be a partner with Zane. She cannot be a partner with Bobby. She cannot be a partner with Ted. She cannot be a partner with Lance. She's just with Phil. That's how I filled it out. So these are no's. That's a yes. That's how I did it. You can put check marks. You can do whatever. You put yeses and no's. It doesn't matter. Phil was partner with Betsy, so he is not with Oprah. He's not with Jane, he's not with Connie, he is not with Lulu. Does that make sense how I'm filling that out now? So I'm filling out a ton of grids really quick. So Phil and Betsy are definitely partners. Now they're in the green sled, correct? They're the green sled duo. So that means they're most definitely in the green sled. So that's Betsy, right? She's in the green sled. and she is not in any of the others. So she is not in red, she is not in blue, she's not in black, she's not in white. And none of the other groups like Jane, Connie, Oprah, and Lulu, they will not be in green sleds because Betsy was. So these ladies are not in those. Okay? Now, the problem is, I don't know what country they're from yet. It said nothing about country, just says the green duo. Now, if I scroll down, eventually you'll notice like at the bottom, way down here, there's another grid down there for red and green bobsleds, correct? At the very bottom. That's for Phil. Phil will need to fill his bobsled at the bottom because he's going down. So, because right now, Phil will have to match his green bobsled at the bottom, so I'll have to do that. Okay, so you already have one of your answers almost filled out. The only thing you need to figure out for Phil and Betsy is what country they're from. And so that'll come up with later clues. Okay, does that make sense how I'm doing this now? Okay, so that's just how I did it. You can do it any way you want, yeses and nos. You can fill in blanks. You can leave it blank and just fill out the rest of them, black them out. You can just put X's. This is just how I did it. So basically I'm taking notes as I go. Right? And again, I will let you see all these clues here in a second. Alright. Okay, so let's go back to the PowerPoint. So we're on clue number 1. There's 10 clues. So Phil and Betsy are green duo. So if you have that person that's note taking, he or she should be writing that. Okay, we good with that? And again, this will be on my website. Next, the Romanian team, the Romanians, do not use a red sled. So you need to, like on that grid somewhere, you need to find some way of marking that the Romanians are not using red. So I don't know where that is on that grid, but you need to mark, like, check it off, put a no, Romanians do not use red. So you might have to go across and down. It might be only one box you're filling in, but that might be helpful later. It may not be a whole row of boxes, it might be only one. Okay, we good with that? Everyone's got that note? Okay, next one. Bobby. Bobby does not use black. He does not use the black sled. That may be only helpful for Bobby. I think Bobby's up and down, right? So the black sled's at the very bottom. There may be only one box you're filling in for Bobby. Next clue. Phil does not sled for Canada or Romania. So now that helps you because Phil and Betsy are partners, correct? That means Betsy also doesn't go for Canada or Romania. That's the logic here. So Phil is not Canadian or Romanian. Okay. Somebody that's taking notes, got that written down? Okay?
Sorry, I missed that.
She did listen. My computer's actually listening. All right. Connie is German. Connie is a German, but she would never be caught dead in a red or blue sled. She is German, but she is not going to be found in a red or blue sled. So you can put those marks. So there's probably, the German thing definitely helps. That'll put some X's in places, but the red and blue sled only put basically 2 marks on it. Okay, we good with that? 7, Ted and his partner, whoever his partner is, eventually you'll figure that out, are in the white sled. They are not from USA, Germany, or Romania. Ted and his partner. So that's something you need to note for later. Okay. Number 8, Lulu. She's from the US. That should tell you something. Like right now, logically, you'd be thinking about Lulu probably doesn't use the white sled. Because common sense said earlier, the white sled was not USA. That was what, Ted and his partner used the white sled? They're not from the US. So Lulu's definitely not Ted's partner. It's like things you can put together already. Okay, we only have, I think, 2 clues left. Jane does not use the blue sled. So Jane is not using blue. And I believe this is my last clue. Lance is not from Germany, and he also does not use a red sled. And maybe you've already used sled before. I think Germans. Oh, I said Germans don't. Okay, so Lance is not from Germany, and he does not use the red sled. Okay, from those 10 clues, especially if you had somebody taking notes, you should be able to fill out this entire grid of yeses and nos, and then figure out your final answer. Who the partners are, who the bobsleds are, and what color those bobsleds are. Okay, work together. Now, if you need a certain clue put back up here, like you didn't get it written down, I'll put it back up. And yes, these will be on my website, so you can actually look at these later. Now, again, if you see some other later classes working on this, don't tell them answers, because you're with your group only. Right now. Wait till we get all. Now on Monday, I will give you some more time to work on this. Okay? That way it's not just like a one and done kind of thing. We'll get some more time to sit with your groups, try to figure it out. Hi. When is your homework due? Tuesday. Tuesday. All right, good.
want to keep both of that paper?
Ward,
What's up?
so I have an appointment at 1:40.
Okay.
If I need to have an appointment,
Yeah.
we're gonna try that. You can take me to the doctor.
Okay. Thank you.
How do you feel about cross country knowledge?
Pretty good.
Feel pretty good too.
Girls are all done. Anyone make it?
Or do you want to explain those notes a little more today?
No.
This stuff is didn't even understand it, man.
We'll be fine.
Ward,
That's why it was only notes. So it wasn't homework for you.
Ward, are we going to do reports today?
Yes.
We get homework today?